Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. Carl Jung. You feel it. That quiet chill when someone close to you smiles, but it doesn't reach their eyes. You sense the weight of their silence, the hidden tension in their kindness, the subtle sting in their praise. And somewhere deep inside, a question rises. What if the real demon isn't out there, but sitting across from you at dinner? This is no superstition. No ghost story whispered in candlelight. This is the raw anatomy of human darkness, how it hides in the people you love, and how it hides in you. Freud warned us of this long before modern psychology made it palatable. He believed every word left unsaid, every wound left unhealed, every forbidden desire suppressed in childhood seeps into the soul, until it warps into a poison, quiet, invisible, but deadly. Jung took it further. He claimed we all carry a shadow, a dark twin inside us. One that feeds on denial. One that thrives in the blind spots of our relationships. And here's the unsettling part. Sometimes, the people around you aren't showing you who they really are. They're showing you the face their shadow wants you to see. You stand at the gates of Rome. But this is no ancient battlefield. This is your living room, your family table, your circle of friends. And the clash between Freud and Jung may be the only way to survive the hidden war playing out in human connection. Freud would tell you to trace the demon to its roots, to dig through your past, to uncover the traumas, yours and theirs, that gave birth to this strange, invisible hostility. Jung would whisper something darker. He'd say the demon doesn't just live in the past. It lives now. It breathes through the parts of a person they refuse to admit exist. The stakes? Everything. Your trust. Your peace. Your ability to know who is truly beside you, and who is wearing a mask. Ask yourself, who do you truly know? Your best friend? Your spouse? Your sibling? Or have you only met their shadow? And here's the twist. While you are searching for the demon in others, someone may be spotting yours. The channel of Legend's Legacy dares you to confront this question. Not with blind fear, but with sharp awareness. Because once you learn to see the invisible, you'll never see people the same way again. Would Freud's method expose the liar in the smile? Would Jung's vision of the shadow unmask the poison in a handshake? Or would both fail, because the demon is closer than even they imagined? This is where our journey begins. Not with safety, but with suspicion. Not with comfort, but with the unsettling realization that those who seem to protect you might secretly drain you. Pause. Think of the last time someone hurt you, and you didn't see it coming. Were they projecting their pain onto you, as Freud would say? Or were they possessed by something deeper, older, archetypal, as Jung warned? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Which lens, Freud or Jung, feels closer to the truth? And before we step into the next chamber of this psychological labyrinth, subscribe to Legend's Legacy. Because what you'll discover next might just protect you from the people who claim to love you most. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. Sigmund Freud. The room feels familiar. The family table. The laughter. The polite conversations about nothing. But under the surface, a silent storm. A tension no one dares name. Freud believed this was no accident. He saw families not as perfect havens of love but as breeding grounds for unconscious wars, conflicts born in childhood, never resolved, yet endlessly replayed in adulthood. Every insult swallowed. Every truth ignored. Every wound dismissed with a forced smile. They don't vanish. They burrow. According to Freud, these buried emotions form a shadow script, a hidden psychological contract that governs how you love, trust, betray, and even hurt the ones closest to you. He called it repression, the mind's way of locking away forbidden desires, shameful impulses, and unbearable memories. But repression is not destruction. It is preservation. The demon waits, biding its time, until the mask slips. You see it when a mother criticizes her grown child with a sweetness that cuts like glass. When a father offers advice that feels more like punishment than guidance. When a sibling smiles at your success, but their eyes glimmer with envy. Freud would say these moments are not random. They are echoes, ghosts of a family's unspoken history, replaying through words, gestures, silences. The dinner table becomes a stage. Old rivalries wear new costumes. Every compliment carries a hidden barb. Every pause, a judgment unsaid. Freud called these eruptions of hidden hostility projection, the mind's way of hurling its own unwanted feelings onto someone else. A father haunted by his own failures lashes out at his son. A sister who doubts her worth quietly hopes you fail, so her reflection feels less fractured. These are not monsters in the mythic sense. They are human demons, born from resentment, shame, unfulfilled longing. And the cruelest part? You may carry your own. You may smile like them. You may wound like them. Because, as Freud warned, the child is the father of the man. The unresolved past does not simply follow you. It possesses you. It shapes how you choose friends, how you love, how you destroy yourself, slowly, subtly, without noticing. You feel it now, don't you? The faint memory of a time someone hurt you with words soft as silk. The echo of a childhood moment you thought forgotten, until it reappeared in an adult face, adult voice, adult betrayal. Freud would lead you back there. To the root. To the first wound. To the unspoken bargain your younger self struck with the world. Hide your pain, and maybe you'll be loved. But love built on repression decays. It curdles. It turns sweet gestures sour, warm hugs cold, smiles sharp. And so the demon remains, not supernatural, not mythical, but psychological. Invisible. Passed down like an heirloom from one generation to the next. Pause. Look around your own life. Who carries these ghosts? Who feeds them with silence, politeness, excuses? Worse. Do you? Freud forces you to ask, are you living your life, or replaying someone else's trauma? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever seen family wounds replay like an old film? Same arguments, same patterns, same quiet betrayals? Do you believe Freud was right, that the past controls the present? But what if the demon isn't just a ghost of history? What if it has teeth? What if it lives not only in memory, but in the raw, hidden side of human nature itself? This is where Jung enters. And his vision is far darker. Subscribe to Legend's Legacy before we step deeper. Because the next step may show you the demon staring back from the mirror. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. The lights dim. The air grows heavier. Not because someone entered the room, but because something inside you stirs. Jung called it the shadow, the side of yourself you refuse to see, the anger you deny, the envy you bury, the cruelty you hide under a mask of kindness. It is not just a collection of flaws. It is a living archetype. It has its own hunger, its own intelligence, and if left unchecked, it finds ways to act through you, or through the people closest to you. Unlike Freud, who traced the demon to the past, Jung claimed it lives in the now, not as a ghost of history, but as a force that lurks behind every smile, every gesture, every intimate exchange. Think of the friend who always jokes about your failures, the sibling who cheers your success yet feels a secret pang when you shine, the partner whose love feels sincere, until their words twist at your most vulnerable moment. These are not random cracks in human connection. They are shadows at work. Jung believed the shadow thrives in denial. What we refuse to admit in ourselves, we see in others. The liar calls someone else dishonest. The bitter accuse others of envy. The selfish disguise control as care. And here's the chilling part. The shadow does not always feel dark. It can wear charm. It can laugh with you, cry with you, hold your hand in moments of despair, while secretly feeding on your weakness. Sometimes it's not even malicious. Sometimes it's simply blind. The person wounding you may not know why they do it. Because their own shadow is steering them. Now pause. Look inward. What about your shadow? The anger you dismiss as just stress. The resentment you swallow but never release. The silent pleasure you feel when someone stumbles, because their failure makes your pain less sharp. Jung warned that denying the shadow only gives it more control. It doesn't disappear. It grows. It slips into your words, your choices, your relationships, while you insist, that's not who I am. But it is. And until you face it, you cannot truly see the demons in others. The shadow isn't only personal. It's collective. Jung believed entire families, communities, even nations carry shadows, old hatreds, unspoken rivalries, inherited guilt. This is where the demon near you becomes more than one person. It becomes a system of silence and denial, a circle of people who keep each other blind. So, who is the real threat? The person smiling across from you? Or the part of yourself that wants to believe their smile? Jung leaves you with a harder truth than Freud. The past may explain the demon, but the present feeds it. Now, let's twist the knife deeper. What happens when Freud's ghosts and Jung's shadows meet? When childhood wounds merge with denied impulses? When history and archetype fuse in one person's gaze? Would you even recognize the danger? Or would you call it love? Loyalty? Family? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Jung was right, that darkness hides in denial, not just in history? Have you seen someone's good side mask a hunger they refuse to name? And if you dare, look in the mirror. What part of you looks back with eyes you don't recognize? The next step is the collision, the moment when Freud and Jung face each other and force you to decide which demon you fear more. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. Sigmund Freud. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. Carl Jung. The room feels like a stage. Two voices, two visions. One whispers of buried wounds. The other speaks of living shadows. And you, caught in the middle, must decide whose truth feels more dangerous. Freud insists on tracing the demon back to origin. He sees you as a product of childhood scripts, moments where pain was swallowed, truths were denied, and emotions were locked away like forbidden artifacts. The demon, for Freud, is the echo of those wounds, haunting your relationships like an invisible inheritance. Picture this. A woman constantly seeks approval from her emotionally distant father. Years later, she marries a man who is cold, critical, withholding. Freud would say her past chose him. Her unconscious repeats the pattern, not out of logic, but out of a deep compulsion to resolve what was never healed. Jung leans forward with a darker smile. No, he says. This isn't only history. This is your shadow calling. Not the past, but the part of you that craves the familiar pain, because you've made it home. To Jung, the woman doesn't just carry her childhood into her marriage. She carries her unacknowledged desires, fears, and hungers. Her shadow longs for control over the very wounds she claims to hate. She's not just haunted. She's seduced. Which one feels closer to the truth? The ghost of Freud? Or the living demon of Jung? Consider another scenario. A man sabotages his best friend's success, subtly, politely, while smiling through gritted teeth. Freud would say, jealousy born in childhood. Perhaps he was the overlooked sibling. The second best. The invisible one. Old resentment now bleeds through his adult friendships. Jung would say, projection. The man denies his own feelings of inadequacy, then casts them onto his friend. The shadow whispers, pull them down. Make them small, so you can feel big again. Do you see the difference? Freud looks backward, childhood, family dynamics, the first wounds. Jung looks inward, hidden impulses, denied truths, the primal hunger of the shadow. And both point to one unsettling reality. The demon near you may not even know it is there, because no one sees the cage from inside. Now imagine this clash at its most personal level, inside you. Freud would drag you into the depths of memory. He'd make you confront the origin of every bitter word, every manipulative gesture, every moment you've hurt someone you love. And then whisper, it wasn't your fault. But it is your responsibility. Jung would make you stare into the mirror, not at the wounds, but at the darkness that lives beside them. The part of you that hides, smiles, deceives, not others, but yourself. Which voice do you trust? Which guide do you follow when facing the demon near you, or the demon within? The room grows silent. Two visions. No answers. Only choices. Pause. Think of your own life. Who carries Freud's ghosts? Who hides Jung's shadow? And when you look inward, which one whispers in your ear? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Is it history, or hunger, that shapes human darkness? Or are both truths two faces of the same demon? Subscribe to Legend's Legacy, because the final step will force you to choose, not just who is right, but who you fear becoming. Most people do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. Sigmund Freud. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Carl Jung. The air feels sharp now. Not with fear, but with recognition. You have seen Freud's ghosts, those childhood wounds replaying across a lifetime. You have faced Jung's shadow, the hidden hunger behind every smile. And now, you stand in the space between their truths. The question is no longer academic. It is personal. Who do you trust? The friend who never questions your choices, or the one who challenges you with uncomfortable honesty? The family member who showers you with kindness, or the one whose silence hides a quiet ledger of resentment? What about you? When you offer love, is it pure? Or is it tainted by fear, control, or unspoken debt? The demon is no longer across the room. It is everywhere, in the past that shaped you, in the shadow you deny, in the eyes of those who claim to care. Freud would warn you, dig deep. Trace the pattern. Break the inheritance of pain before it poisons your future. Jung would whisper, stop pretending. Face the part of yourself that loves the poison. The part that wears masks. The part that feeds on illusions. And maybe, just maybe, they're both right. The demon near you is not one thing. It is a wound. It is a hunger. It is history and instinct woven into a single, human face. Now pause. Feel the weight of that truth. The next time you sit at a dinner table, share a drink, or stand close enough to see someone's eyes, ask yourself, who am I really looking at? Them? Their past? Their shadow? And then, dare to ask a darker question. Who do they see when they look back? This is your warning. Not to fear, but to awaken. Because once you see the demon clearly, it cannot hide again. Carl Jung says, knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. Sigmund Freud says, being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. 2 truths. 2 paths. 1 choice. Whose words will you follow? Whose vision will guide how you see the ones closest to you? And how you see yourself? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Whose ideology feels sharper, darker, closer to reality? Freud or Jung? Share this with someone who needs to see past the mask. And subscribe to Legend's Legacy, where the past, the shadow, and the human soul are never safe from question. Because this is not the end. This is only the beginning of seeing what others can't.